This video is going to show how to do the nostrils on the face and how to hollow the whole head out so it's not solid, how to put the ears on, and how to put the hair on. So you'll notice that this is not the face I was working with before. This is a different one that I've been working on. Some additions that it has. I poked the pupils, so I just took a pencil and poked straight in like that in the middle of the eye, making it look forward. And then I took some type of a fine tool and I drew the line around the outside of the pupil. Looks a bit like a donut. Notice that this line, if it went behind the eyelid, it would make a complete circle around the circle pupil. You want to make sure that looks very much round and even. Okay, so nostrils. If your nose, when you look at it this way, is pretty much just a triangle, what you're going to want to do is take something and press down a little bit to the side of the ball of the nose to make that little fleshy part of the nostril. You can also kind of just pinch in a little bit right there, to make it kind of flare out. I'll do the same on the other side, make it so you can see it in the camera. So just kind of in like that, a little bit right there. I don't want that line there. I've got to smooth that out. I just want it to get a little bit narrower, so it flares out here and narrower there, and kind of nice and round up over that part of the nose. Then I take my pencil, I'm not going in the center, right there, but to the side of the center, press it in, and then I kind of lean my pencil to the outside, so it was that movement there, and stretch it wider. To the other side of center, angle the pencil out so it makes those nostrils wider, and then just kind of check overall to make sure it looks like a nose. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is hollow this whole head out. I'm going to back the camera up a bit. This is all solid clay in here, and we can't fire that because it wouldn't dry properly and it could explode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cutoff tool and I'm going to wrap it around here. If it helps you to draw a line, that's fine. I'm just going to take the wire and almost like draw the line with the wire, just kind of pulling a tiny bit so I can show you where it's going around. I don't want it too close to the eyes. I don't want it to cut any of the neck off. I don't want to get involved in any of the other facial features, so I'm well back from the point of the face here, cutting off some of the chin. So I will just line that tool up again and hold it firmly, but so I don't crush the whole thing, and pull through. Hopefully you haven't let your head dry out too much. Oops. Okay, so what I did right there is I accidentally squished with my thumb as I was holding it. You got to watch out that you don't do that because you're going to have to repair anything that you mess up. I am having a hard time pulling this through. If you have a hard time pulling it through, you could switch to a knife, which I think I'm going to do at this point. I have a fettling knife here, and I think I'm just going to slice through. I'm surprised it didn't go through easily, but this head has been sitting around quite a while. Hopefully most of you will be able to just cut through with the wire. That is easier to do without messing up the face. All the way through. All right, so that's what we have, the two halves. This is fine except for the part that I squished with my thumb, and I will fix that later. So now you're using a loop tool, an appropriate sized loop tool, And you may want to draw a border that shows you how thick you want the outside to still be. I'm going to go with about a pointer finger width. And then I am just taking chunks of clay out, like that. Now, you kind of have to know where the end is here, and you have to know where you have your neck and where you don't have your neck. So I'm just going to keep scooping out here. So with this scoop, I'm going to feel right here and see how thick that feels, and I'm going to come down here. So that is about that thick, and the top is that thick, so I know I can keep going. I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera and continue scooping out, and then I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I have scooped that all out. It's all about that thickness. Notice I have not done down into the neck. I think what I'm going to do is leave this part here solid, and I'm going to come from the very bottom of the neck. Again, I'm going to draw a line. You can make this a little thicker because we want that to be able to support the clay, and carve out. Again, if your clay has hardened, be very careful. You can break these loop tools. They're not super strong. So just kind of watch what you're doing. So one way I can know how deep I am, I stick my thumb in and you see it goes to the end of that knuckle there on the thumb right there. And then I put it here, and that's how deep I've gone. So I think I'm pretty good right there. Just going to smooth this a little bit. It doesn't look all rough. All right, so that is hollowed out. I have not hollowed this out. You have to be more careful when you hollow the face out because obviously you have all that detail. You want to make sure you're not squishing the face, so I can kind of cup my hand like that and put my fingers on the forehead and put the heel of my hand on the chin, so I am not squishing the face. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the back of the head. I'm going to draw a line where I want to hollow it out and start taking my scoops, and be careful that you don't go too deep. Okay, again, I will pause the video and show you when it's done. All right, there we go, hollowed out. You got about the same thickness there. I don't have to go like really skinny area down up into the nose or anything like that. It's fine. As long as nothing is thicker than your thumb, you're going to be fine. You're going to not have any problems with it not drying properly. So now what I'm going to do is slip and score here and here, and then put the two back together. You see, they still fit, because I've been very careful not to warp or crush them. I'll go ahead and pause and show you when it's together. So I actually had one more thing to show you. It's all slipped and scored and ready together, but if I put this on here, I'm going to have a big time sealed air pocket or balloon, and I don't want that to explode, so I am going to do one more thing here. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to poke it through the bottom of the neck up into the hollowed head. That also lets the person who is firing it be able to look up there and see that the whole head has been hollowed out. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make sure they really fit. Stick them together. And then carefully blend it all back together. Okay, so it's all back together, and I went ahead and fixed the eye that I squished before. Okay, so you can see it's all together. I'm not even going to worry about smoothing this right here because I'm going to put hair on it. But first I'm going to show you how to do an ear. So believe it or not, our ears go from the tippy top of the ear is from the eyebrow. So the top of the ear is going to be here, and the bottom of the ear goes down where the lobe is, down to the bottom of the nose. So what I like to do is make a capital letter D, like this. So I've got a D, all right? And notice the size compared to the face here. Stretch it up a little bit right there. But when I turn it on its side, look at how thin that is. It's much narrower than the nose. You can see compared to the size of the eyes, compared to my fingers. So then I'm going to narrow the bottom a little bit. There's the lobe, and here is the top. And then a lot of people will put the ear way up here by the eye. It actually goes way back, so you've got the jawline. There's kind of like the corner of the jaw way back there. And if you feel, the ear attaches just in front of that jawline right there. So I just lay that down here, and then I'm going to take the front of it and I'm going to blend what was the straight side onto the head. I am not going to attach the whole thing because that really looks like an ear sticking off the back of the head. See, the top still sticks up, the lobe still sticks off like that. I just attached this. If your clay's dry, you're going to want to slip and score that on. My clay is wet, so I can just blend it like that. And then I'm going to secure it a little bit more by poking a hole back in here. Kind of wobble my pencil around a little bit. Be gentle, because remember now the head is hollow. It kind of moved a little bit as I did that. And then there's another really dominant line that goes here and kind of blends off down into there. And that's good enough to kind of form an ear. And then when you turn it to the side, it looks right. It doesn't look too big anymore. You need ever so slightly more blending right in there. The lobe was looking too big. And I can erase those lines. And we've got our ear. Okay? By the time you're finished sculpting your head, you need at least one ear to still show. So it's going to have really long hair. You wouldn't have to do both ears. Definitely do both ears if it's going to have short hair, or it'll look really weird, because you can kind of see it looks right on that side and it looks very strange on that side. So do that other ear. All right, so now we are to the point that I need to show you how to do hair. So I'm going to show a few styles, very short, let's see, a little bit curly and longer. So for hair, I want very, very, very wet, even sticky clay. You can see it's kind of making my hands a bit of a mess because it's sticking to my hands. That's perfect. If your clay has dried out, you're going to want to slip and score wherever you're going to want the hair. Mine, again, is wet, so I think I'm just going to put a little water there because I know I have the sticky wet clay and I know that's not too dry. All right, so hairline. For a young person with a short haircut, the hairline is going to do something like that, and then you have a little hair that kind of comes down in front of your ear, so you may want to draw that. It's a little low on that side. Give them a little more forehead. There we go. Looks better. Okay, so short hair. I'm just going to take a little bit of clay and kind of put some on there. I want it to stick up out of the head because we have roots of the hair, right? And if you have short hair, it's going to show up. That tool is too thick. So you could use a mechanical pencil to do this, or this looks about right. So I'm starting from the flesh and coming up into the hair. And then I do rows. So I just kind of dig down in and actually do rows. I'm going to add a little more clay. Sometimes with short hair, I actually like to start from the back and work forward so you don't kind of damage what you already did. Kind of build it up. Make sure my clay is stuck to the head. There we go. And notice down here, it looks like the hair actually is growing from the head. You don't want to like start it up here and have it just flat down there. If you're going to do like tight curly hair, I'm going to add a little more clay on here. You can just take a tool and kind of start swirling. Cleaning off the tool sometimes. And it's okay if some of it sticks up a little bit. Give it a little texture, just swirling the hair around. Okay, so we have kind of a tight, curly hair. So if it is like very, very short, you can just kind of get away with drawing and scratching in the lines like it might appear here in front of the ear. Something like that. All right, so now longer hair. You'd usually have a part line. So if I have a part line here, and then my other hair kind of starts to swoosh and cluster. Grabbing more. I can sometimes even roll a quick little coil and do that, and just start building up the volume. And then I'm kind of pressing it onto the head and making waves or clusters of the hair. Look at anybody's hair and you'll see that it basically, you don't see every single strand of hair. So don't try to do a gazillion little tiny coils and add them on. You'd have to make hundreds of thousands of coils and they'd be so small you really couldn't do it. The clay would break. So do clusters of hair like this. And then you can go in and kind of refine it and do some lines on those clusters. Just a hint. If I'm doing a large sculpture, I'll actually take a broom and I'll kind of comb the hair with the broom lightly, so just some of those marks come through. I lost my part line. Tilts back. And then on that part line, I'm going to make sure, again, like I showed you with the thin hair, that the hair grows out of the head and then kind of bends back. Squish there, and I just wanted to show if you're doing long hair, again, you're going to make sure everything sticks. Just put a little water on here using my wet clay, and let's say I had long hair here and I want it to go down below the ears. I can just kind of add on very loose coils. I'm not even taking time to make them round. I'm just kind of squishing them in my hand and attaching them. And you can make the hair come down and kind of attach to the back of the neck. You definitely would not want the hair to be longer than the neck that you have built because it's not going to support the weight of the head. But you can kind of see that you could build up long hair like that. Make sure you do the hair all the way around the head. Don't just leave it like that. But that's how you can make that all happen. I also wanted to show a difference between male and female faces really quick. So this face is more female. It has kind of a rounder jawline there, a smaller chin, a little bit thicker lips, although for female this could be even thicker up on the top lip there, maybe slightly more opened eyes. And then the male has a more, this one's kind of squished a little bit, but it has a more angular jaw. So kind of the jaw back through here, square, a bigger chin, a stronger nose, so there's probably a little bit more volume of the nose. It also is a little more sharply angled, I guess, versus that one. And then the last thing to show is if you are doing a little bit of an eyebrow. This one got squished. Let me squish it back there. All I do for the eyebrow is really just draw either a squiggly line or draw in some hairs. I don't try to add hair there. and that'll work. And then I sometimes will do the same thing for an eyelash and just kind of draw some lines there and itty bitty little lines down there for the bottom. And that's pretty much it.